What is going on, guys? You're listening to the HSP Podcast. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter, Bryan Burga. What interview we have for you guys tonight. Joining us right now is Matt Parroni, Hot Mike. What is going on, dude? How are you?
Chilling, man. I'm good. What's good with you guys?
Listen, I could not give you as good introduction as you give your MMA
He doesn't have the
fighters.
vocal cords for
So
it,
I
you
don't
have to
have it.
forgive him
I
on
could.
that one.
I was thinking about it, but then I didn't want to mess up this interview and lose my voice, dude.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. But ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the High Spot Podcast from YouTube. Something like that. Something like
Bro, that is awesome. That is
Something
awesome,
like
my man. Listen, one of the reasons why I'm excited to do this interview, dude, is because your story is the kind of stories that I love hearing, dude, because it's all about taking chances, brother. And so just to give the viewers and listeners a little bit of a backstory here, dude, you basically just were a point where you're like, you know what, fuck it, dude, and I'm just gonna go I'm gonna go balls to the wall, and I'm gonna do my thing with Jorge Masvidal. And just talk about the backstory, man. When did you realize that, you know what, it's time I gotta do something, man? I gotta take control of my life here, and I gotta move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, well, so like it's pretty crazy because so I live in Las Vegas. So we've had all the UFC expos here since 2009. So it was almost like every year too. It was like 09, 10, I think 11, 12, then it skipped to 13, all this stuff, right? But anyway, I would always do the announcing during the UFC pay-per-views. And it got to the point where like all my friends are like muting the television, and they're like, "Oh, you just do it. You just do it." But I was like, I want to hear Bruce, like, you know what I'm saying? But everyone got a kick out of me just doing my thing. So fast forward, I've also met Bruce like 3 times as well, which is an interesting story. But anyway, so yeah, fast forward, I was doing an MMA podcast in 2020, I believe. No, 2019. I think it was 2019. Pretty sure it was 19. Yeah, because 2020 was just a disaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the year that did not exist. Let's be honest, right? So, 2019, I was on an MMA podcast. And when I got brought on, it was because of my knowledge for MMA and things like that. And I was really cool with, with my friend. And we were just a really good sidekick back and forth. Like, we just had a really good time on the podcast. Well, after the podcast, I would always do the intro for the fighters, and everyone just seemed to love it. So I've been doing this for since 2008, 2009. It's been going on a long time. So I'm 30. I'm about to be 33 in April. So yeah, so it's been a long time coming. The thing with Masvidal was what was crazy was coming out of the pandemic. I needed to start making money again and stuff like that. And I was actually an Uber driver. But with everything going on, I kind of didn't want people in my vehicle. So I was like, well, let's just do food delivery. So I just signed up for DoorDash. Didn't even think about it. It was the first week, and my homegirl was like, Masvidal's doing a bottle signing at Lee's Liquor. You should come through. And the rest is history. I went through. Luckily, she said something. And I remember right before, I was like third in line. So he hadn't even met anyone yet. And she's like, you going to do it? So shout out to Katie. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to do it, right? Who cares? But he just ate it up, and he looked right at his manager and was like, hire this kid for GFC. So yeah, man, the rest is history. It's just absolutely crazy, bro. I'm just a super regular guy, and that's it, dude. I love this business. I also love wrestling. I know you guys talk about wrestling too. So both wrestling and UFC fan, pretty hardcore.
Well, you'd say both go hand in hand, basically, right? Wrestling and MMA, and they've kind of garnered the same path. I mean, the classic Jail Sonnen promo on Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. I mean, that was taken exactly from pro wrestling. But before you get into that, though, and the similarities between the two and the obvious differences, though, and the merger that these two are always going to be linked together, I could only imagine, from my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, there must have been some nerves going into it, because you never know what's going to happen, right? But you gave it a shot, you took your shot, and it happened. But building up to it, you're getting closer to Masvidal. You're third in line. What kind of nerves were building up when you were about to do this?
You know, it's so weird, bro. like I've been in front of people since I was young. Like when I was 14, I was in a metal band and I was like the lead guitar player. So even like ever since high school, I'm used to performing in front of people. It really doesn't shock my nerves. And like to do like, I don't know, whatever you would want to say, like something embarrassing or whatever. I have no problem being the center of the joke or anything like that. Like, so people and crowds don't really make me nervous at all. But to your point though, the build up before he got there, you get a little nerve wracking because you're like, dang, like Masvidal's about to be here, you know, or whoever. Like even when I did it with Chuck Liddell and Gilbert Burns, like when you're sitting in line, you sweat a little bit. But I think it's just because like I care about, you know, like I don't sound like shit or something like that, you know. But besides that, there really isn't any nerves. Like, when it's go time, I almost like black out. It's like an out of body experience, and like just the love takes over, dude. And that's why on Chael's podcast, he actually talked about me when that video went viral. And he was like, this kid's just got passion, and it's true. Like I just love it so much, and it just comes out. So nerve wise, yeah, not really too much, but leading up though, you sweat
probably the
when you're
build
in
up,
line.
the anticipation for it, kind of maybe a little bit too. But when it came go time,
Yeah,
you're 100% ready to go. But hey, Chael brought up a great point, right? You know, passion. That's something in pro wrestling, for example, and especially in mixed martial arts. You can't create. It just has to come organically to a certain extent. You can't
100%.
fake it, basically.
You can't fake it, dude. You're an MMA fan. You love what you do. You love the sport. So you're a fan, and that gives you the edge up because you know you have that passion. And what I wanted to say to you is, you know, luckily you were third in line, right? Because if you're like 20th, 25th, you got time to think about it, and you have time to be like, all right, you know what, maybe not. But where I give credit to you is because you would have lived with regret had you not done it, right? So you'd be like, man, if I didn't do this, you know, there's a lot of people that'll talk.
Like, what was the point of it all, basically?
Yeah, there'll people talk it. You did it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. That's admirable, dude. Because you know you can say it and you can talk about it, hype yourself up, and you don't do it, you live with that regret, dude. And that's why like your story is awesome. Because look at the doors that have opened for you now, right? So if you hadn't done it,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
The interesting part is I have always done it though, and it just never mattered and stuff like that. Like especially when I was on my podcast and I did it, like nothing ever happened. Like this has been going on for a long time. Like this easily could have blown up. But I truly believe two things. One, Masvidal, he's such a superstar and he's got such a following and he's such a big pay-per-view star. And his reaction, because it's all about reaction, right?
Yeah.
So his reaction was amazing. The fact that he was like, hire this guy right now, I think that's what made it so crazy. And yeah, it's nuts, dude. And my TikTok basically like just exploded. And I was like, hurry up and like deleting like old stuff because I had like a comedy TikTok. So shout out to whoever's got those videos saved. They're gold. You can probably use them against me one day. But yeah, I just like it's just crazy, like the way the whole thing happened. So the fact that I did it, I always do it. But the fact that this one mattered the most, I wouldn't have known what I was missing, you know, because if I didn't do it, my life just would have been the same. So I really like wouldn't have known. It's just crazy how much has happened just from doing this one video. So now, yeah, I take the chance all the time. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Gilbert Burns video and the Chuck Liddell video, I did those guys during International Fight Week, and that went crazy too. Not as crazy as the Masvidal one because like I knew something special was with the Masvidal video because it blew up so bad. Like I remember posting it. It was Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. And right after that fight, I lost all my UFC bets because I'm a terrible bettor. And basically, by the time I posted it, left my house, just got some food down the street. By the time I came back, it was already at like 50,000 views in like 10 minutes. And I was like, something's not right. And by the time I went to bed, it was like 500,000. And then when I woke up, it was over 1 million. But I had like ESPN, Barstool Sports, like just all these places, like all these major like Instagram profiles and all this.
They picked it up
people
for you,
wanted
right?
to post it. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit! Like ESPN wants to post. Like I made ESPN. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
Like period, bro. So yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, of course, you talked about the Liddell one, and of course, also with Justin Gaethje and Andrei Arlovski. You got tons of them, bro. And
I'm waiting for the Conor McGregor one. I think that'd be
the world is waiting for Conor for sure.
That's the Black Swan, the one you're waiting for, the Conor McGregor one.
It's huge. I don't know if you guys know this, but the podcast that I used to be on, my buddy is the Conor McGregor impersonator. And he's gone, he's gone super viral.
Oh, he's gone viral too.
It's was it the What Happens Here podcast?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So shout out to Marcus. So so Marcus that was like his thing, and I ended up like coming in to help him with questions. Like that's it, and then everything just blossomed. You know, we would drink a shitload of Proper 12 on the podcast, and things got loose, but it got funny. Like there was really funny moments. Especially stuff that like he took out, you know, this was kind of like a secret kind of, but like we had Kevin Lee on and he ended up dumping the Proper 12 out on the floor. Oh. And it just little moments like that was just gold. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so it's crazy how life works.
It's crazy how it works, but it's also like to talk to you right now, considering all the stuff that's happened, everything that's gone viral for you, and it doesn't really seem to have changed your outlook, your personality on things too, in terms of opportunities you might be getting, people who are reaching out to you that you never thought you knew they knew you existed, type of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, when it comes to this, you know, I joke with Jeff sometimes because we go to a lot of wrestling conventions, and we actually want to start getting involved more in MMA. I love MMA. I can't say I'm a die-hardcore fan, but I'm the novice. Love that. Jeff's the novice.
He tells me what's going on there, whatever.
It's a combo. It's the package.
It's a combo of both, too. But there are still times in this moment where Jeff and I were interviewing a talent, whether they'd been in WWE or WCW, or they're currently, you know, a really hot commodity. And I'm sitting to myself, man, I'm really talking to this individual. And I kind of mark out for a few seconds, but then strictly back to business because I'm the trendsetter for a reason. You know, I got to keep it professional.
You got to keep it cool, man. You got to
keep it cool, man. Exactly.
Gotta,
Stash doesn't lie, man. They got to keep it cool 24/7, 365. It's a difficult job to have. You know, I do it proudly because I'm not going to
really understand.
But in terms of that, is there any certain person out there that you still feel like you can mark out to if you ever met them? I mean, would Conor be one of those? George St. Pierre would be one of those?
Yeah, I think, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Conor, for sure. You know, there's certain entities. I got a good story for you, but we'll try to keep on this subject. So this thing right here, this is the story right here. This is a Dana White cardboard cutout. So basically the Nelk boys were doing, and by the way, I've met a ton of wrestling, like wrestlers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to meeting these types of people. I watched wrestling since I was like 7. And I went to like the last 6 WrestleManias.
Who's your favorite growing up? Who's your favorite?
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold? Yeah.
Geez, like the guy is just captivated. Stone Cold, Kane, Undertaker. I love the Ministry of Darkness when he did that. Like that was really good TV.
He might be coming back. You might be coming back this year.
Really?
Stone Cold.
Yeah, I heard about that. It makes sense, but you know what? They said that in 2016 too, and then he came back and just did a couple stunners and bounced. WWE
That's enough for us.
Yeah, they need something to happen so bad. I don't know what they were thinking with getting rid of all this talent. I don't know if Vince was maybe planning on selling it and he was cutting the payroll. Whatever happened, all the talent's gone, and now they're kind of looking around going, what do we do? Well, if Austin came back, I'm buying a ticket. Like, you know, so like, I think that was the whole thing with that. But yeah, but every WrestleMania, I've always met a lot of people. I've met Ric Flair a bunch of times. So I've met these captivating, polarizing figures. So anyway, they were doing the Howler Head contest, and it was basically just take a picture of you buying Howler Head. And they're going to select one random lucky schmuck, and he's going to fly out to Vegas, get front row, and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I have a friend who works at the liquor store, and he ended up having this poster or this cardboard cutout. And I was like, hey, I need that for a video. He's like, come take it. I'm like, yes, here we go. So I took it, and I was with my friend. I'm like, what are we going to do with this thing? And I was like, I have a great idea. I was like, let's take this thing into bars. Let's take this thing like everywhere. Let's like stick it out of the roof of my car. Like, let's just get ridiculous with it and just make an absurd video, because that's the only way to get attention nowadays, is to just do something completely ridiculous to where everyone's like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And it worked. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but it's on my Instagram. But yeah, we went to like In-N-Out. I fed him cheeseburgers. I took him into a bar. I strapped the face mask on him. I was like, we're vaccinated, don't worry, like all this stuff. So yeah, dude, like it was just a ridiculous video. So while I was doing the Justin Gaethje video and Rose and Andre Arlovsky in that week, the Howler Head PR team was really cool with me, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" And I met this girl, Laura, and I showed her, and she was like, "I'm gonna send it to Dana right now." And I was like, "Oh my god, like hell yeah, like send him that shit,
Awesome.
right?" But I have already sent Dana the video, and I saw that he watched it, but he didn't say anything. So it's the boss, like, you know what I'm saying? And then when she sent it to him, I was like, okay, this is a real thing. And then I was at the weigh-ins, and I was just in the crowd, and I get a message, and they're like, "Hey, Dana wants to meet you." I was like, "Oh my god, like no way!" And they pulled me out of the crowd, and I met him. And meeting Dana was the first time that it was like legit. Like, I can't believe this is happening, And you get a small feeling like that. Like, I felt that way with Masvidal as well. But I have been trying to meet Dana for so long. I mean, this is years built up. This is since like 2004. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this one guy is evading me. And when he was in front of me, dude, I like couldn't even believe he was there. It looked like an AI like video game. I was like, holy shit. I was like, I didn't even know what to say. And he's just looking at me smiling, and I'm just looking at him smiling. I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like what's up, Dana? What's up, my boy? Like, so, I mean, yeah, he's such a fucking down-to-earth guy, too. He's so nice. He's so real, dude. Like, I feel like the money never really changed him. Like, he's just such a cool dude, man. Like, he could totally be more arrogant or standoffish, but he seems like he responds to a lot of people, which is really dope. And that's how I want to be if anything were to happen like that. If I were to become, like, super famous or anything like that. Like, it's fucked up to, like, ignore people and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but again, what he's done and what he's accomplished as a career, I could understand from your vantage point the buildup you've created in this persona, this person in Dana White.
For sure.
And to hear that, to hear it refurbed back, and I've heard it from a lot of people too, that Dana's a very nice guy, he's very cool, very laid back, just very real is the main word you always get all the time with him. So, but it's great, but man, everything he's done, how could you not kind of just gloat and be amazed by this man and what he's done in terms of purchasing the UFC, what he created, what he did with the Fertitas, and then selling the UFC, and now where it is now. It's a global landscape. It's not even close to where it needs to be. But how funny is it, right, that the UFC has now come into, my opinion, although they're still creating great money fights, right?
Sure.
But it's kind of turning into the WWE now. It's like, where are we going to get more money fights here? We're going to bring people back from retirement, stuff like that. It kind of has the same feelings of what WWE is because Vince McMahon.
Because it's great that you put out every week, put out great matches, right?
Sure.
And then you try to build the best ones possible, instant gratification. But then the negative and the downfall is that, okay, I've built this fight. Now I have going down the road to other ones, it's kind of tough to build up a card.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the upcoming card 272 because your boy's on it. Woo. But yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think that they have to like make more stars? Do you think that the new ones are
that's the key word, Jeff? Stars.
Yeah.
WWE has a problem right now where you have the main guys like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Where are the other stars out there? Right. That's the big question we all ask ourselves. For UFC, if you were to honestly ask me as a casual fan, right? Because I do enjoy UFC, mixed martial arts. I watch Bellator, bare knuckle fight. I watch a lot of stuff too. But if I look at UFC, I think of one name only that pops in my head: Conor McGregor. Where are the other big names out there?
Yeah,
where are the stars?
Conor did a really good job at talking the trash, walking the walk, calling his shots. Babe Ruth that said it's going right there, bang, knocked it there. And I think he's polarizing, especially towards like us Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like Snoop Dogg said it the best. He's like, those guys come from another country and they got that accent, and you'll do nothing and all this, and I'll snap your head off the canvas and all this shit. Like that shit, we love that shit. Like as Americans, it just sounds better. So, but to answer your question about the stars, yeah, for sure. But I also think the difference between wrestling and UFC is wrestling, it's very hard to create a star because even like, look how long they've been building up Roman Reigns, right? and they just literally shoved him down our throat for like 7 years. And now finally people are like, oh my God, Roman Reigns, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, we hated him. We just booed him out of the arena last year. And now the guy is like mega superstar. Like, when I see videos of him on TikTok, people are like backing this guy like crazy. But it's because they jammed him down our throat so long. He's like the guy. So I think it's harder to make stars in wrestling than UFC. One point I can make is Khamzat Chimaev. They didn't do anything to make Khamzat a star at all. The only thing, they just gave him normal matches. They never gave him mic time. There never was an interview where you were like, oh my God, this dude's so good. He just beat the shit out of people. And everyone's like, damn, like that dude's hardcore. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what we like as, in my opinion, that's what we like as UFC fans and MMA fans. Whoever is just a guy just winning is a star in general, right? Nobody likes a loser, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think Conor went through that for a while. He just beat everyone for so many years. And he just became just an icon now. And especially after that Mayweather fight, it went like really global, like, because everyone knows who Mayweather is. So that was a perfect pedestal for him to do that. But I think Masvidal is literally right there. Like when he knocked out Ben Askren, it just was like, phew, like
in terms of his stock, has his stock kind of lost when he lost to Usman the way he did, the manner in which he did? Because I know sometimes in wrestling, wins and losses don't really matter in wrestling, but it's the manner in which you lose in wrestling that matters. It's just the perception of the audience. Do you think the way Masvidal got knocked out, it was in Florida, right? And it's his hometown, Miami, right?
Yeah.
For everybody, does that hurt his stock?
For a guy like Masvidal, I'm going to say no. And the only reason why is he is just, okay, look for where he came from. The Kimbo Slice days, right? The YouTube videos, right? Where I think they called him Ponytail or something. Like that was like his nickname. Yeah. But he's super hood. Like he's so down to earth. He's so fucking cool, bro. And I think he relates to fans. And that's what it's all about, relating to people. Right? If you can,
so true. That's relatability too. Yeah, that's 100%. Plus, he also did some AEW stuff too, so he was involved in that too. He did some AEW, did a crossover. I think he knows the game of marketing, right? I think he knows what's in, what's awesome, and stuff like that. And those kind of guys will succeed. Look at Conor McGregor. You like his attitude, and he can back it up, and you can't, and then people pay to see him get the shit beat out of him too. Right. So he knows how to play the game. Guys like Masvidal know how to play the game. I just think another thing too that I think right now is coming up in the UFC is and I didn't even notice this too. I didn't even was made aware of it, but the pay scale is all of a sudden becoming a major issue with the UFC. And, everybody wants to get paid. You see NBA players getting paid, NFL players a little bit, MLB players, forget about it. We all wish you're baseball players, right? But it seems like right now, all of a sudden, there's been a issue with the pay scale. And we were talking about Dana White. We think, obviously, he's got to do what's best for his business. And we also have to take side of these guys that take beatings all the time. Right. Where do you stand on that, dude? Like, you think there's an issue? You think it's something that can be settled? Where do you think it goes moving forward?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Well, first of all, I blame Jake Paul for all that shit.
Yeah.
He's the one that just stirred all that shit up. Nobody was even looking. They were looking this way, and they're like, Jake Paul, fighter pay? Oh, yeah, he's right. What the fuck? But you know what? Everyone's comparing too much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of can't okay, Mayweather. How do you compare to a fighter in UFC making $300 million? No. Like, Dana does have a point, though. You have to generate this amount of money. Now, I'm not going to, pick sides here because I don't want to be, absolutely ridiculed on the internet or anything like that.
No.
Ridiculed on the internet. That never happens. What are you talking about?
No, never. These damn MMA fans are the best.
The internet's fair. They're fair. People are good.
Yeah. Absolutely fair. But
until you disagree with them, and then once you disagree with them, forget it. Then
you get so much heat on you, it's nuclear.
But that's fair. I don't want to put you in a tough spot, but
no, you're good.
I go in the middle, dude. I'm in the middle on this kind of stuff, dude. I see it from the business side, and I see it from the fighter side. So, if you're the same way, I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to think you're ducking the question at all.
No. I look at it two different ways. The first way I look at it is how much revenue is really being generated, right? Because everyone talks about revenue. Okay. Well, if Conor McGregor fought Dustin Poirier, right, and it made let's say the company made $50 million that night with the gate and pay-per-view, $50 million, right? And then if they gave Conor like 3 and Dustin like 1, let's just say they spent $5 million, right? And then they kept 45. That's different. So how much revenue is really being generated here? Because that word is getting thrown around a lot. Revenue. So in boxing, the revenue is crazy because boxing's been around for a long time, especially like the Mike Tyson days, like 1996, like shit like that. The older folks transition because I have family members that don't watch UFC, but they're crazy into boxing. And if like Mike Tyson fought, like it's like huge, like everyone's buying that thing. So you really have to think like, what's the revenue? And who's being paid what? Like Adesanya just signed a new contract, and it's rumored that he's making like, I don't know, it was like 1 or 3 million or something like that. Something crazy I heard. So it really just depends. And it's different sports too. Like you guys are talking about, like you can't look at like what a guy's making in NFL and compare it to a guy in baseball. It's just two different, you know what I'm saying? Like Conor made $100 million in boxing. Conor only makes $3 million in UFC. You don't hear Conor being like, "Where's my $100 million?" Right? So I don't know. It's a really weird like thing, but I feel like it's being changed, and I feel like Adesanya was the first chess move, right? Because if he's now making that much money, watch all these other players, start jumping. And I think Sean O'Malley's next. I think O'Malley was talking about the 2 fights left on his contract. And then, once he gets a new contract, we'll see. Because O'Malley is top 13. Or excuse me, 1 and 2. Sorry, he's first. He's ranked first and second. Sorry about that. Yeah, but yeah, once we see what O'Malley makes, especially a guy not even in the top 10, then you'll really be able to gauge. But there's so much bonuses and stuff too. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Right? Like, I mean, someone could come in this room right now and just knock me out for 50 grand. No, I'm not going to complain at all.
Yeah.
See, so it depends on how you.
I would love to be paid the minimum here. I would love to be paid the minimum in my life rather than worry about bonuses and performances.
For the stars that are, that are training and that they're living this stuff. Whatever.
Yeah, and they've dedicated their livelihood to this particular craft. I can understand it because, again, it's not like it is a sport, but it's not really. It's something like, for example, you play basketball for a long period of time. You can have a long career in basketball. Your shelf life in football or any other sport is different.
Yeah.
This is, you can legitimately die in there and really get hurt where all that's not worth it. So you want it to be worth it. You want it to be worth the money. Although, if you do get injured, you can't really enjoy it. But it brings back a point you just made. Sorry, Jeff. Not really. I made a point you just made.
Sorry, dude.
Never sorry. Never apologize for anything this guy does. No. But you brought a great point, though. The Paul brothers. Can't stand them, right? But here, they're doing something very innovative because they're forcing people to pay to watch them fight, though they're not professionals, to get them to either have them get killed, or see if they can beat these fighters or former MMA fighters coming in to box. As much as we might dislike them, they have brought this to our attention, though.
More eyes on the sport,
It's bringing more eyes to the sport, whether it be boxing or MMA, because people are talking about it more. So isn't that necessarily a positive thing?
It's all marketing, though, too, though. I feel like because the Paul brothers were so big on YouTube, right? And then like when they started boxing now, it's okay. So if you have like 5 million subscribers on YouTube, like if Mr. Beast, can you imagine if Mr. Beast had a boxing match with somebody? Yeah. It would be huge. The guy has like so many platforms. I just saw the picture the other day. He's got like 20, 30 platforms. It's like Mr. Beast Gaming, Mr. Beast this, Mr. Beast that. And all of them have like millions. I think he has like 100 million subscribers, something ridiculous. If everyone gave that dude $1, he'd be just insanely rich. So I think the Paul brothers just came over, and realistically, the fan base followed, and basically like that's what's generating all the money. Then they got the UFC guys on board, and now they're cherry picking UFC fans because now we're like, right? Like when Askren fought him, I was like, I don't know. But when Tyron Woodley fought him, I was like, Tyrone's going to smash this motherfucker for sure. And the fact that he keeps winning is what's really, doing the deed. But secretly, I heard Jake Paul's a really nice guy, though. I heard.
Yeah, because it's all an act here. Like, I mean, they see all these things, and the way Jake talked about Connor's family, and just he wants that promotion.
Exactly. He'll take the heel heat, right? He wants. That's what's going to attract people. If you like the guy, I'm like, all right. But if I want to go to see, that's why to me it's so much fun. I'd rather be the heel than a good guy because I want people to fucking hate me. I want people to come to the arena.
Not just hate you, Jeff. Pay to watch you.
Exactly. Pay to get my ass kicked. Listen, man, tons of respect for you, dude. Your resume right now, because I want to give you props here. It got your Masvidal thing, got you stuff with the Game Bred Fighting Championship. You've done stuff with High Roller, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I think I'll be there this weekend too.
On Pluto TV and YouTube. You can catch that there. So Matt, props to you. You're doing stuff with Howler Head Whiskey as well, right?
Howler Head, exactly. Get the bottle right here.
There you go, right there.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Wow. Good. Now we signed Uncle Dana bottle right there.
Now we can tag Howler Whiskey on it too. So that's awesome.
Let them know.
Folks, that is called product placement.
You always got to have it with you, man. You never know when you're gonna plug it. So I'm giving you Matt props, dude, because this is a really inspirational story about the way you shot up as far as ever since the whole Masvidal thing that you did. So. Two more for me in closing, dude. You did I saw it on YouTube, a killer heel promo on Bruce Buffer, and I kind of
you saw that? Oh boy,
with insinuating, and you did it great, man. You were a true heel. How did he react when he saw you? Because we think imitation is a form of flattery, but not people think that. So did you get any
First of all, I had one too many drinks when that promos came out. But that was actually never supposed to even happen. What happened was it was right after the show, and we were in the room, and I was with the Fight Bananas media team, and they were like, "We should do an interview right now." I was like, "No, we shouldn't." And he's like, "No, we should." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And obviously, it was classic wrestling promo, like classic.
Really good, dude.
There's a lot of sarcasm in it, but then there's a lot of truth. Honestly, like, I was just really surprised. First of all, I was shocked when Dana or Bruce even knew about me. I was in denial for so long that either of them saw this. And, all my friends are like, dude, they saw it. Like, there's tens of thousands of people tagging Bruce Buffer, tagging Dana White. Everyone's tagging them. They for sure saw you. I'm like, nah, they didn't see it. But I was surprised of the backlash from Bruce because at first it was really, really negative. And he was just like, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but he was not happy. And, and he was just like, the kid just needs to totally just stop. And then when he went on the Ariel podcast on the MMA Hour, which was like a couple months later, something like that, Ariel kind of threw him on the spot. Classic Ariel Hawani questions, putting him in the hot spot, putting him in the hot seat. And he's like, what do you make of this? And then basically Bruce, long story short, was like, he should get his own gimmick. And if he ever says it's time, I'm going to sue the shit out of him. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, they're very protective of their brand, I guess.
Respect that trademark, all that stuff, like totally respect it. But, when I did Masvidal's thing and I told him that, I was like, I'm never going to say his stuff. Like, that was never the plan. Yeah. Like, I was like, did the whole world expect me to like jump on the mic and literally like just riff, just say his stuff? I was like, because that's not true. Because I already knew there would be repercussions if I did that. So everything was changed. I came up with the Get Ready for Violence, which I really feel is only appropriate for Masvidal's promotion. That's not very like public trade company phrase. Get ready for violence. Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I was really surprised that I even caught his attention, let alone put him in a spot to where he had to say something. And then when I did go to UFC in December for that Poirier Oliveira card, Bruce walked by me and I was like, hey, Bruce. And he kind of like looked and like kind of like cold shouldered me and just like kept walking. I was like, oh shit. Wow. I was like, damn, that was brutal. So yeah, I mean, that was just a funny little promo. I thought the fans would like that and shit like that, but I feel like he shouldn't care. And I would love for him to like bring me up, right? Because, when I met Dana and I met Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, they were like, oh my God, like we love it, like it's spot on, like everyone likes it, like everyone's into it. The fighters love it. Rose was all hyped, like she was into it, like doing her thing. So I don't know, man. I wish he was a fan too, but then again, like people are protective over like their spot and stuff. So I could see the frustration, but he's Bruce Buffer, bro. He's invincible to me, dude. He's untouchable. He's the greatest.
I mean, he's not going to lose his spot, basically. And, I'm sure, like, you are not the first person that's ever done that in terms of imitating him or trying to do something similar to him.
We've seen it here. We've seen people in wrestling
who are very good.
We've seen people kind of try to do the Bruce Buffer shtick. And I could see where he's, again, you can see this in the middle, right? You can take your point, you can see he's protective of his brand and stuff like that. But again, you're a young whippersnapper, you're trying to get into the business, whatever, and imitation should be a form of flattery.
For sure.
And stuff like that. And then last one for me here, gotta get your prediction, dude. Masvidal and Colby Covington. I mean, these are both, to me, the best on the mic and hyping a match, right? So I'm torn.
This is the closest thing to a wrestling.
Yeah, I'm torn. I love Colby's gimmick. I love Jorge Masvidal's gimmick, right? Jorge has that wrestling background. We actually talked to Colby when he was starting out, he actually was doing an event in Jersey for a wrestling company, and we talked to him. This is early Colby, so this is before all the
he was still calling out Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, so we're torn.
On the show. Wow. One of the nicest guys you could ever talk to.
Yeah, definitely down to earth. I'm torn, dude, but you're the expert here. You've thrown some knowledge here with us here. What's going to go down on UFC 272 between Masvidal and Covington?
It's crazy because if it was just a regular wrestler versus a regular striker, you know what I'm saying? I always bet on the wrestler because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be harder to knock somebody out than it is to just lay on you. It's easier to crotch sniff. But anyway, the thing with this match is these two really have a problem. This is like you and your best buddy going way back. You guys know each other in and out, right? Like nobody knows you like your best friend. And I would imagine nobody knows how to beat you like your best friend. Like my boys, like we play all the time. And like, I'll tell you what, I know exactly how to whoop all of them. There's a game plan and they've trained so much together. I think frustration and emotion is going to come into this one. Kind of like when Colby fought Usman. I don't think it was necessarily wrestling versus wrestling and it canceled each other out. So they striked. I don't really think that way. I think it was like, I really hate this guy. He really hates me. Let's just punch each other in the face because they barely even went for takedowns. So ultimate prediction, I have to go with Masvidal, not just because he's my boy. I think it's going to end up turning into a slugfest. I think emotions are going to take over. And I think once Masvidal really starts hurting Colby, you get flustered like really bad. And like the takedowns don't come as easy. And you're thinking of more of shelling up and escaping rather than that, So I got to go with Masvidal. I see it being a TKO and it probably the third or the fourth, because Colby's pretty good. The first round, if he needed to, he could probably just clinch with him and exit into the second round, but eventually that's going to wear. But Colby's got a hell of a gas tank. And even Dana White said it himself. He'd be the champion if it wasn't for Kamaru Usman. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, I'll give my prediction real quick, too. I think it's going to Colby Covington because I'll take off what you just said, too. It's based on emotion. And who's rivaling that emotion? I mean, you're hearing Masvidal saying things like he's going to leave him a bloody mess. He's going to impact his life in a negative way. That's how badly he wants to hurt him. So feeling this long term. I mean, nobody ever talks like that. I mean, that's like a wrestling term in terms of you want to ruin this guy's life for the rest of his life, right?
Are you sure that's not an email you sent me that you're actually reading or not?
I read the emails I send you, Jeff.
That sounds like a email you sent me like last week. But anyways, if
I'm writing one right now as I'm talking. But as I'm typing, a multitasker here. But I think emotion plays into that factor because if Kamaru Usman's so concerned of hurting Colby Covington, that can really work against him. And the only thing I've ever learned, even when we did an interview with Colby Covington, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. I think even Mike Tyson said that, right? It was the first time I heard him say it.
100%.
The worst thing you can ever do in a fight is go in there full of emotion.
Right.
That's what it's all about. And I think that's where Covington has such a great advantage in terms of the mind game. A lot of people sometimes just think of him as a wrestler. This guy's got pretty decent striking as well. So I just think the frustration of trying to knock out and hurt Colby Covington is going to work against Kamara. Is going to work against Jorge Masvidal, and I think that's where I think this is going. It's a 5-round fight, right? I think it's going all the way down there, and it'll really test the gas tank of Jorge because I can't remember the last time I've seen him in a 5-round fight like that where. Last time it was against Usman, but again, it was only a short notice where he got the title shot against him, but he was gassed.
He cut so much weight for that fight and still went 5 rounds. So I don't think cardio is too much of an issue. And I think Masvidal striking is like leaps and bounds way better than Covington's. Like if it does come down to a striking match, Colby, he's got good hands. He's done his thing. He's pieced up some people.
He got a good chin too. I mean, he took a lot of punishment from Usman, and he knocked down a couple times. He kept coming.
It's a whole different ball game. I feel the only way for Colby to win is to wrestle. He must wrestle. Yeah. He's gonna have to take this dude down, and if he doesn't, he is fucked. Like for sure.
Yeah. Listen, this is a huge reason why I wanted to have you on the show here too. Is get you here before the fight because I wanted to get you your take.
Yeah, and I want to ask one more thing too. I mean, we're talking about wrestling and the interconnection between MMA, just this beautiful combination of Ronda Rousey is now part of WrestleMania. She was a UFC fighter. Brock Lesnar went back and forth. Conor McGregor might make his way over there. It's an endless list of possibilities, right? But the thing I want to ask you too is that when you look at WWE before, during the Monday Night War, they defeated WCW. They were the only game in town. Now WWE is still the machine that runs it all, basically. And catch up. I mean, you have AEW, you have all these other promotions, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, list goes on and on. With MMA, there really doesn't seem to be a viable second. Before I thought it was Elite XC, then Bellator is trying, but it really seems like they're taking guys that have been released from UFC and trying to name for themselves. I mean, and they have bare knuckle fighting, so you're having other options here, but if you were to look at the landscape of MMA, I mean, what do other companies you feel need to do in order to kind of garner some ground? Because UFC is dominating the entire MMA world right now. And so
WWE right now.
If you're a fan, where do you get that variety? I remember I used to watch Pride, and I was like, this is so cool. It's an alternative from UFC.
Cool. It was so cool.
What other alternatives are there do you think would be viable to not compete with UFC, to be that other alternative?
High rollers, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
100%. 100%. You know what? I think that, they have so much attention, UFC. There's so many eyes on the product, and they've done such a good job at being the leader of the sport, creating stars, right? Anytime you name a really good MMA athlete, pretty much from UFC. Bellator has done a pretty good job with MVP. Like, I really hope to see MVP maybe come up to UFC one day. Like, that dude's a star. Even though he lost to Lima, he came back. So, I think the only thing that they need to do is I think people need to focus on making stars. Even for AEW, even though they're kind of sucking up talent that is being dropped from WWE, they're doing a good job at playing to their stars, and they're getting celebrities in there too, like Shaq and stuff like that. So I think pushing the envelope, doing something nobody else kind of has done, and creating stars is the only thing you can really do. I mean, and I keep going back to MVP because to me, if he's fighting, I'll watch that on Bellator, 100%. I think Bellator is number 2 if as far as MMA.
Gotcha.
I mean, one's massive. I heard one's bigger than everything combined, but just on that side of the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, so I don't know. It's just I don't know what these guys got to do. They have to create stars, though. You have to do something that makes you want to tune in.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, I just want there to be more opportunities for other people to showcase themselves too, because not everybody can make it to the UFC. So just like with the business of pro wrestling, the more companies there are, the better it is for the fans and more success for the talent. Same thing for MMA. I just want there to be more places for guys to hone their craft and better themselves and become stars, and not necessarily have to be it's UFC or bust.
I think that Rock sponsorship that they got now with the shoes thing, I think that's going to be good for them to market too, right?
Better than Reebok. Reebok was terrible.
Get the faces out there, get them out there more and stuff like that. Listen, dude, Man, we could talk for hours here, but listen, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time. Of course, March 5th, we got UFC 272. Man, listen, love to have you back on, down the road and talk some more stuff, dude. This has been an awesome conversation.
Hey, closer to Mania, too. We can talk about WrestleMania.
Yeah. I know, yeah. I don't think I'm going this year just because my schedule's so crazy. It's so random, and the fight game's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I might not. I don't really know.
Jeff, he's big shy now.
My schedule.
No, because honestly, well, it's low key. It's low key, but I'm supposed to be doing an audition for a company, not MMA, but if that audition is being held the exact same day.
Yeah, no,
we're
just
you're good. I'm just saying. But, I want to go. I want to go.
Yeah.
Put that on the record. Somebody want to buy me a fucking ticket? Let me know.
Matt, here's the thing: we'll all meet when WrestleMania is in Las Vegas because it's going to.
It's going to be down there. Yep.
I heard it was
stadium.
I heard it was Texas. I heard it's Hollywood, and then it's here, like guaranteed.
Oh, I can't wait, man. It's got to be that
2024. I think.
Yeah, that stadium is awesome. That stadium is awesome. We went there for SummerSlam.
I was there too.
Oh, okay. See, so definitely down the road though, we gotta get together for an event, dude.
I should have won that SummerSlam announcer contest.
Oh, you should have. You should have.
Yeah, man.
I hashtagged that in the Masvidal video, and I think that's what kind of caught the fire. It was all the WWE fans like, what the fuck, like,
dude. No joke. When we saw that, I was telling Jeff. The guy Matt, who's the one who did the Bruce Buffer, he should have been part of that.
Yeah,
he would have fallen out of the water.
Yeah, more doors are gonna open. Yeah, more doors will open soon for you, brother. I gotta believe that, man. You got that voice, that energy, that passion.
It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when.
He is Matt Hot Mike Parrino.
Gotta bob and weave through the options, baby.
Parrino. That's
the feedback. Old school UFC.
All right,
but Matt, honestly, from us, the Jersey Rank crew, the trendsetter, the scoundrel Jeff, we really want to say we appreciate you giving us your time. But again, we are so happy and content because here's the thing: we love having people on the show that we see them garner success, and it's not because you deserve anything, because you've really earned all the success you're getting, man. We're extremely happy for you, man. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you, and you will definitely have our support 100% all the way, man.
Love it. Thank you guys, and thank all the super dope fans out there. Dude, you guys are everything, man. It's all about the fans, bro.